Today is May 10th, 2023. This is in regards to the City of Lorraine complaint 13751. Present is Investigator Greg Kennedy. Also present is
Forensic Auditor Kara Yoder.
And Karen Shawver, Lorraine City Auditor.
Karen, just so we're all on the same page, I have a copy of, it looks like the original complaint you sent us on April 14th, and I just want to make sure I'm on the same page with you.
Okay.
Number one was in regards to the city having several employees in the utilities billing office and admin departments getting excessive overtime payments for working through their lunch hours and higher position pay.
Yes.
Okay. We have just been informed in regards to that complaint that is currently being investigated by the
Turned over to the police department.
What we will do as an auditor's office, we will contact them and offer them any assistance that they may require from us.
Okay.
Again, it appears like the policy here is like the policy everywhere else, where you usually go with where did the alleged crime occur. They have jurisdiction. And they're given a choice of, do you want to do it yourself? Do you want some help? Or do you want it independent?
Okay.
Okay. So we agreed that was the first complaint, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And we will do a similar thing. Do you want us just to take it over? Do you want us to work together with you, or you do want us to stay out?
Okay.
Yep.
We will go to them.
So we'll contact them. The number two complaint that I have listed is the police department. The police chief, it appears, is taking off Fridays, and then a captain fills in and gets paid alternate officer in charge pay or at a higher rate.
Yes.
Okay. What would you like us to know in additional to that?
Okay, so basically, I don't know what information you have been provided with already. What happened that brought this to light was I received a public records request. It was hand delivered to my office, given to one of my staff members. It was just in an envelope, and it requested all the captain's payments of higher position pay from the period of December 2nd, 2019 through the present. It was given to me on February 28th of 2023. And it says I request payroll documents related to higher position pay for any police captain in Lorraine Police Department starting December 2nd. I also request payroll records that indicate the Chief of Police of Lorraine Police Department was paid regular hours on the same days that captains received higher rate of pay. It says, please exclude any days in which the Chief of Police was on vacation or off on other approved leave. The citizens group of which I am part of believes Chief Jay McCann took days off without using his bank time, which caused 2 officers to receive chief's pay. All it did was have a name and a phone number. So I ran the reports that were requested. On March 1st, I called the number and indicated that I had the information for him. I typed a letter saying that the payroll reports were for the 3 employees who served as captain, and also the payroll reports for the chief that showed his regular time being paid.
I'm going to show you something now, which is what we have. I'm assuming, is this the public records that
Yes.
you gave them? This is what we have for like the payroll reports for the 3 people.
Yes.
So that's what you provided to the
Correct.
person. Okay.
And I know, Greg, you asked for the Wesley Palmer one. This was the only hours of higher position that he paid, and I honestly do not believe he was the captain at the time, because he went from lieutenant to captain in a short time. Mm-hmm. So these dates that they asked me about, I ran it, and he had higher position pay, but I think he was actually in the lieutenant's position and received captain's pay. And that's what was originally given. So the majority of the 100 days being paid at the higher rate were for Roger Watkins and Michael Failing.
Okay.
Karen, is he stopped taking Fridays off?
Well, since this this started in 2019 when he became the chief, but he also switched to working 10-hour work days and only work 4 days a week. But I don't believe he is giving them higher position on the days he's not off. or when he's not working. These are just days that he's not there, and he is letting them put in for the higher position pay. I don't believe, because what you'll see in those reports is it was 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, then all of a sudden it turned to 10 hours. And I don't believe on the days that he is not there because of working 40 hours, 10 hour, 4 days a week, he's not giving them higher position on those days. And I don't know, I think one of them might have worked the 10-hour shift with him, so they kind of alternated. If he was off on Monday, the other captain worked on Monday and was off on Friday. They kind of alternated, so they kind of would get 4-day work weeks. But what I understand the process to be is they have what's called Telestaff. It's a Chronos software project. I don't know, you're familiar with that? It's a scheduling program, which basically they set up their schedule for about a year in advance. And all the officers have all their schedules. They know exactly when they're going to work, when they switch, shifts and everything. And that is just basically used for scheduling. And the schedule is set in there, and then the officers themselves can go in and change things if they're going to request a day off, or if they're going to call in sick, or if they have to work overtime. They mark their time in there. And then what is supposed to occur is the officer in charge or whoever is above them is supposed to say, yes, he was working overtime, or yes, he didn't show up for briefing until 6:30 instead of 6. So they are supposed to keep track and then approve those hours in Telestaff. Then Telestaff is managed by the payroll clerk in the police department, and then she uploads the file into our payroll system that has been approved by the officers in charge, the police chief, and then it goes to the safety service director. So we don't have access to this Telestaff software. It's just used by the police department. It's not accessible to the auditor's office. So we basically, in our payroll system, get hours that have been approved and accepted by a multitude of people.
So safety service director would be the final sign-off?
Yes.
Is that who signs off on the chief?
Yes.
Okay. So Telestaff, can I just make sure I'm understanding?
Sure.
Telestaff is their scheduling program. They make changes in there to their schedules, leave requests. The senior officer is approving whomever is putting that request in. That will then go through and generate the payroll file from the payroll clerk in the police department that then runs up. Is that report approved by the safety director ultimately before it comes to you?
Yes.
And then you guys are running payroll off of this payroll report that is kind of generating from their time in Telestaff.
Yes. But it's supposed to be approved by the appropriate authorities in the department. And from my understanding, the captains are permitted to have higher position pay only in the event that the chief is not there. So he's approving it. And also what came to light after this public records request, there was another request from a captain because in about June or July of last year, they gave a very substantial pay increase to the police chief. And because it went retroactive to January 1st, they felt that they should have gotten the pay rate increase because as they received the higher position pay from January to July, they should have gotten his pay that he got a retroactive pay increase for. So then I had to go back and figure out all the hours that they worked and give them a retro pay. It turned out to be about $3,000 or so for the two captains. And so then that made me think, what's going on here that he's got all this time, but yet he has all these regular hours? It doesn't make sense to me.
Karen, can I ask a question? Imagine for a moment that the chief has taken 100 Fridays off. Would each one of those weeks, would he have logged 4 10-hour days?
No.
Okay.
No, because he didn't start doing the 10-hour days until it's on the reports and actually...
After his raise?
Probably.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think he got about 30,000.
Oh, I
He had a
see.
huge
It
raise.
looks like the 8-hour days went through December 3rd of 21. December 6th of 21 was when they start at 10. Do you know who would have had to approve that? Would that be in the
Who would have approved what? Changing the
the
shift?
schedule shift?
I would assume it would have been the safety service director, yes. And there's been several people now doing that. I believe the fire chief does it, and there's other departments that just started doing it without any like approval process by the Lorraine City Council or anybody. Like it's just been done through their offices. And I don't necessarily think it's always on Friday. Like it's other days. Like it's definitely other days.
Oh, okay.
But I think that's how it kind of started. Like, I'm just going to start taking off Friday. And then I think it just, and my concern after seeing all these things, so it's almost 100 days. In 2020, obviously we had COVID. It was shut down. There was no travel. There was no meetings in person. Everything was done by Zoom. So he basically should have been in the office working, or if he was, like lots of times, like you're doing a seminar, or like today, you're out of your office, so someone else might be getting higher position pay in your office because you're here. But in 20 and most of 21, there was no travel, there was no training, there was no seminars, so he would not have been going to that to say, well, I was just doing a seminar, so that's why they got higher position pay. So that was my first thought. Well, wait a minute. We do keep track of the travel requests and vouchers and approvals in our office as well. There weren't very many. I did run the reports for that. I don't know if I brought it, but there was just a handful of days that he was scheduled to go on travel. Now, whether he went or not, I don't know. But also my concern is, I don't know in the government, the state government, if you get this, but when you retire, all these hours on your books you get paid out.
Yeah.
So if you have all these vacation hours that you're not taking because you're using regular hours when you're on vacation, then he's going to get a substantial payout when he leaves. So that is just another thing that concerns me.
Can I confirm with you? And again, I apologize. You started off by saying I had written down December 2nd, 2019 to the present. But then on the complaint it says December of 2020 to the present. So what was?
So I'm sorry, that is wrong. He became the chief on December 2nd of 2019.
Okay.
And that is when the person, this public records request, and you could, I'll be happy to give this to you, asked for those dates. And
Okay.
I'm
so
sorry.
your
that was,
concern
that was,
is starting from 2019,
Yes.
not 2020.
right.
Okay.
December 2nd, 2019.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
and again,
sorry.
I apologize. I just saw
Okay.
a difference in
Okay,
there, and
I'm
I
sorry. That was
wasn't sure if I.
I feel like I've read this somewhere, so apologize if it's redundant. But did he come? Was he already in the department, or did he come from the outside?
he was already in the department.
So now he is logging 4 10-hour days a week.
Yes.
Okay.
And when did that start again, roughly?
I just looked. It says it's December. Hold on, I just had it here.
It was probably the end of 21, I think. Or
December
It's
6th
December 6th, 21.
is when he started 4 10-hour days.
10-hour days. Looks like he's working Monday. Well, originally it was Monday through Thursday, and I don't know if that then shifts or not. Now, to your knowledge, I'm assuming that then the captain would be. So if he's working Monday through Thursday, maybe the captain's working Tuesday through Friday.
yes.
And did I understand correctly that your understanding is that the captain is not on that Friday putting in extra duty pay for the chief?
Not that I am aware. It's only on days that he's supposed to, his regularly scheduled time
Would be
that
to be
he's
there, and
doing.
then he
Yes.
has to leave. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about those 10-hour days. I just can't feature it.
And you said you don't know if that was approved, went through
I
council or anything?
I know it wasn't. It didn't go through council because we just happened to like stumble upon it when we saw the payrolls coming through with 10 hours instead of 8. So
I mean, does he work 7 to 5?
I have no clue.
8 to 6? I don't think so. You know, I mean, I'm just guessing.
I from what I believe, I know I've had phone calls or emails that are very early in the morning, like 7 a.m., 6 a.m. So whether he works 6 to 4,
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's lots of times I leave work and I go by there, there's no cars there. So they're gone. It's like I was kind of thinking it would be maybe till 6 o'clock at night or something. So maybe if he works from 6 to 4.
Or he
But-
might say, I work 2 hours at home.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
On any of this pay stuff, you mentioned working from home. On a pay sheet or anything, would it show a difference between working from home or working actually at the station in his office? Is there like a different code or symbol that says I work from home compared to I worked in the office?
Not in our payroll system. I would assume in the TeleStaff software there is a place for notes that they would say something like that just to protect themselves. I mean, I certainly would. I mean, and I know like in my office there is no like overtime or there's nothing given. Like my employees just don't work overtime. They would come and say, Karen, I have to do W-2s. Can I work overtime or something like that? And I would say yes, I would approve it. And I would know that my chief deputy wouldn't be getting higher position pay because I was off on vacation unless we discussed it and she's doing my work, because she obviously has her own work. If there's times where she needs to represent me as the auditor, it would be something I would definitely approve. And from what I understand, those captains are only permitted to get higher position pay when it is approved and it's to the knowledge of the chief.
One clarification, these reports that you gave us, this is the payroll system reports, correct?
Yes.
Your payroll system,
Yes.
not the TeleStaff
Correct.
reports, okay. And is this how it comes to you? Like, is this what they're printing out?
No, they upload their file.
But this
So
is not it, though,
No.
correct? So does it interface automatically,
Yes.
or do you have to enter it?
They upload it interfaces to our payroll system.
Do you still have access to those reports if we were to need them, or that's something we could get from them if we were to need them?
You would probably have to get it to them, from them.
Okay. I assume it's likely the same information that's on this report, but because you guys aren't hand entering it, it manually goes.
Yes.
Interfaces through the actual payroll system. Do you guys find that there are errors that kick out in that process, or frequently, or is it a pretty smooth process that once it transfers over, you don't have to deal with clarification?
On that part, I know there's reports.
Sorry, real quick. Before you guys leave, you and Greg, if you can stop in this corner office here, see
Yeah.
Rich on your way out.
Oh, sure.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know there's reports that are run by my office that are like exception reports.
Sure.
So she runs those first and takes a look to see if there's like, in our office, they work 80 hours. So if somebody had only 76, she'd be like, why didn't they have 80? And
Okay.
so she does that as part of her biweekly processes. And I believe in the last couple pays, there were still instances of him getting regular hours and the captains getting higher position pay. So it's not like he doesn't do it anymore.
If we don't have the highest paid police chief in the state, I would be shocked.
It's very close. I think he's even higher than Columbus. I mean, there's now we're at about 110 officers.
Yeah.
So
City of
They-
85,000.
it was a substantial increase that they gave him us. So, but that's not my doing. I don't have a vote in the
You're not on the
matter.
council.
In regards to number 2 on your complaint with the police chief, Kara's okay.
Keep
What
going.
other paperwork did you bring for us? Anything else?
The only thing I am giving you is the original public records request, my cover letter. I knew you had already said you had those reports that were given to
Yeah.
the prosecutor's office, and then I did give you the 2 emails that were talking about the captains getting the higher position pay rate increase retroactive to the first of the year, just so you have that as part of it.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything else you need. This one was
Okay.
pretty much simple, like was cut and dried to me, seeing that it was hours paid. He's supposed to be there working. He shouldn't have been giving higher position, or I mean, I suppose, it's a public record request, but could the captains have put in wrong information? I don't think so, because the chief shouldn't have approved it.
Yeah, they
if
have to approve
it's
it
that
to
way.
go.
The inference in the public records request was that the chief was doing something wrong. That was what whoever the public records request was from was saying. So that's where your mind goes.
In regards to like the leave accruals and balances, is that something that is maintained by your payroll system or their system at the police department, their telestaff stuff?
They have it in telestaff, but we also have it in our system.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Or if you know, I might have to talk to the payroll clerk. I think at some point we will need to have like a leave accrual report, like showing, for a period of time what balance he started with, and then like what his leave requests are that was taken and how it was deducted.
Okay.
Anything else on number 2?
I don't think so. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, let me give you my. You can just email this to
Okay.
me.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I think I also will probably want that from telestaff too, just to compare. It might just have different information too. Do you know who the payroll clerk is in the police department?
Yes, her name is Kelly Zakrysic. Zakr.
Like spell it to look at it.
Honestly, I don't know. It's got an R and a J and S.
I will
but I can
phonetically
get it
spell
here.
it and
Okay.
figure it out. How's that?
In Lorraine, there are a lot of people with more consonants.
Yes.
My maiden name is Rybarsik with CZYK.
Yes. Mhm. Payroll clerk. When this public records request came in, to your knowledge, they were requesting it from your office. Do you know if they requested it from the police department?
I do know.
Does your office work closely with Kelly because she's?
Yes.
Has she mentioned any kind of concerns, complaints with your office at all?
Not that I'm aware of. She deals mostly with my payroll clerk
Yeah,
directly.
listen. Would you have access to? I know some of the stuff we got was a part of the policy manual. It looks like probably stuff that was what you thought was applicable to this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have access to, or can you refer us to where we can get the entire policy manual that will show like dates? Like for example, we would need, if he became chief in 2000, like December 2nd of 2019, we would want any policies and changes that have occurred since that time, so we know like what policy is applicable to a specific time period.
So would it be the collective bargaining agreements, or
We would
is
definitely
that-
want the CBA for them. Well, he wouldn't be union,
So
but
it's really weird what his ordinance.
I
You
noticed
see
that.
all it basically says is he gets the same economic benefits
As
as
the
the
agreement.
police.
So yes, we would want that,
And then there's like a policy book.
which I'm assuming, is this from the policy manual or would that be from the collective bargaining agreement?
That
Do you know?
that is the manager's ordinance, which I don't know where that came
Yeah, I don't
from.
either.
Like that's something that we have in our office, but let me it's
Yeah,
all
feel free to-
managers' information.
you can-
Yeah, so we have the police union, the fire union, the laborers union. We have a manager's ordinance and the non-bargaining employees ordinance, but those aren't like union contracts. They're just not. They're non-bargaining unit employees, so they're just covered by an ordinance. That's a manager's ordinance. I don't know how you receive that because I didn't give it to anybody. But
To your knowledge, the police chief and the captains are not ruled by that ordinance,
No.
correct? Okay.
no, they have a separate ordinance specifically for the police chief and the one special captain.
And I assume that's this. Is that correct?
Yes. And then there's also one from 2022 when they gave him the increase.
Which I don't have that.
Okay.
So if I could get it looks like this is from 16, and it's for the policing captain. Now, I also have in here something about the fire chief ordinance, and I'm wondering if maybe it was just like a mistake where it got sent that instead of the updated one.
Okay.
And we were just kind of handed a big file,
Well-
so it said scan.
The only thing I can think of in that regards is some of the stuff that you sent me was double-sided. So maybe that's...
Maybe it was just on the
another
back side,
side.
maybe.
I
That don't
didn't
know.
send any of those reports.
The ordinance.
I didn't
Okay.
send anything at this
Yeah,
point yet,
we
so I
got-
don't know. The only thing I did was do the thing
Those
online
reports
about
and
the fraud issue.
Yeah.
issue.
So whenever our bosses got like the complaint, which they got stuff maybe even from the investigators here, they just didn't tell us like, oh, this came from
Okay.
Right.
the auditor.
Okay.
This came from. So we try to like figure that out just in case there's ever questions. Now I think if the ordinances are online though, I can look for that. Unless it's easy. If
think
it's,
it is.
Yeah, if it's easy
Yeah.
for you, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. And to your knowledge, there's nothing else that would govern the pay of the chief and the captain than those ordinances. Is there an overall policy manual just for all county employees or city employees?
They are working on one at the current date. I know the police department has a specific one that they had a vendor pay. I think it's called CopLogix, if I can recall. That they actually have their own specific like policy and procedure manual.
Okay, we'll get that from them. You said 2022 is when he got the increased pay, correct?
Yes. And there was also, this would probably apply to him as well, that you would need to know, in 2019, the whole police department got a huge raise, and then in 21, they changed the way they get longevity, and it's based on number of years worked, but it's a percentage of your pay, and it goes from 2% to 20%. So, yes.
Whoa.
Yes. So the people who make $100,000 and worked 20 years now make $120,000 a year, just for their longevity, and they get that every year. It doesn't get added into their base pay, so it doesn't compound. But like they made this deal, and we were like, "What are you doing?" All these other cities we know, like in the finance areas, are like they're getting rid of it because actually the city of Elyria, where we're at now, they had that in their. And they got rid of it. So then we're like, why are you negotiating this to give this huge amount?
But
so
then all that would go to your pension, too.
yes,
Oh,
it's huge. It's
it
costing
does.
the city millions.
Was that part of the union contract
Yes.
negotiations? And since the ordinance says that the
Yes.
captain and the chief get the same benefits, it
Yes.
applies to them. And you said that happened in 21?
Yes.
Do you know if there was an ordinance passed for that? I would want that as
Okay.
well.
So he got the 20% raise in 21, and then they turned around and gave him a huge, like $30,000 raise. But then you add the 20% onto that. And then, like, I'm sure you're well aware of all these holiday hours and these huge amounts of banks of hours they get every year that is almost impossible for them to use. So then again, they get those all in their termination pay when they leave. And then if you're not using your hours because you're are marking it down, then you're substantially going to get a higher pay when you leave.
So I'm assuming, if you don't know this, that's fine. Do you know the length of time the bargaining unit contracts are for? Is it like a 2-year contract, 3-year contract?
Yes. And they're negotiating again right now because they actually expired at the end of 2022.
So that tells me which ones I'll need to ask for them. So do you know, you said that he was, the chief was with the department before he became chief. Was he captain before? Mm-hmm. Okay. Was that a common thing where the captain was still getting, because this ordinance was in effect in 16, so he would have been eligible to receive the higher pay when he was a captain if he was acting as the chief as well, right?
Yes.
Did anybody look, or was there anybody that's ever raised issues if that was taking place when he was captain, receiving chief pay, maybe not doing that properly when he was captain?
I did not go back that far, and I would venture to say the former chief, who unfortunately is deceased now, would not have been away from work very often. He was one of those people that just dedicated his whole life to police work, and he never took off. And he didn't get paid, very much in the first place. And then he, there wouldn't have been very many instances for the captains to get higher position pay because the former police chief was always there. Then he retires and dies. Sad story.
That's so sad. And unfortunately, you hear that all too often. I just thought of something with this report, which is your payroll report. There, other than just looking for, I'm trying to see, other than just looking for when the gross pay changes. Oh, it says higher position.
Yes,
Never mind. So this is the report of just the higher position pay.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if that would be helpful to get a report of all the hours paid, like everything that was paid for all of them, just to see.
So.
Do you want it for every day? Because I can do like just a 1-page recap of the totals, or
I think
every day.
What I would probably be best, because it never fails, that I think I don't need something. And then later I'm like, shoot, I need that. So I think maybe both, if that's, so maybe like a summary report that maybe even either broken down by day or pay period is fine. That might summarize stuff. But then I think I would want a detailed report by person, or I don't know how your system runs it. That would show me, regular hours, higher position hours, leave requests, things like that. Whatever is making up their payroll.
Okay.
And yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, that's okay.
For these three
to
people
email
would
it
be-
is fine.
yeah.
Like to print all these things out.
Yes,
it's
exactly. And if for some reason, if you get, if the file sizes are weird, let me know. We use OneDrive, and
Okay.
so I can send you like the link for that if you
Okay.
need it. I don't remember the file size limit right now,
Okay.
but if it bounces back, just let me know. It also might be something that I would be interested is that report that you ran for the captain. So for Failing and Watkins, that just is showing that higher position pay. I think I would like just a report of those hours for McCann. And let's do from like 2018 through 2019. I just want to look and see if perhaps, I just want to cover my bases there.
Okay. I know there was a time that he was in the reserves, like the Coast Guard reserves
Yeah.
for a while, and I'm not sure what years it was, but
He was off 2 years.
Yeah, he was off a long time, I remember,
Yeah.
but I don't know
And
what year it
He
was.
didn't get
Years.
deployed. He was home.
Yeah.
Was he?
That was good duty, yeah.
I'm trying to think. Let me look over here. So we've got ordinances. The policy manual is for the police department. I'm going to get from there. I'm going to get their collective bargaining agreement from there, from the police department. Time frame we got that answered. like the travel policy, or in regards to, I think it probably would be covered under a travel policy for like if you have to go training and if it's so many miles away, you get like it. Is there a travel policy for like city that would cover him as well, or do they have a separate one? Do you know?
The city has one. I'm assuming in their policy and procedure booklet they have one. I believe there is also something in their CBA. We also have the travel voucher requests, which I don't know if you'd want that to see if he was on travel.
Yeah.
On those days.
Because you guys are ultimately paying it out.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I would do that from the December of 2019 through current.
Okay.
I don't know that we'll need it now. So typically what we will do is we kind of go through an allegation. This is considered a preliminary investigation, and we will kind of go through and see what we can vet out. We don't necessarily do like 100% testing right now. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So at this point, like if we were to say, yes, oh my gosh, we think this is a problem, we're going to make this a case, and we were to elevate that to an actual audit, a special audit, then I would be looking for like more recent, like the payroll reports if it's more recent. But at this point, I don't need them for now.
Okay.
But that might be something coming down that I would need.
I mean, do you talk to those captains to verify that of their policy? I mean, just because that's their own department rule. I mean, do you talk to them to say that is, we were only putting in for time when we know he wasn't there? Or do you get that information from someone?
At some point we would, yeah. I mean, like, so if this progresses to something that we think is going to be a special audit or a potential investigation, at some point, yes. And we talk with each other about when we think that's the best time to do that.
And just for my protection, per se, you're going to be asking the police department for this information. And I'm sure they're going to be going, why are they asking for this information? So how is that addressed?
We have auditors that are working on your audits all the time. Like in this case, you have an IPA. We'll just say an IPA had a question about saw something in some of the records they were looking at and sent it to us. So we need this information.
Okay. Just because
They're there right now.
Right. But I'm a little scared, honestly, if I don't want to do these kind of things. I wish people would just do the right thing. But I have to do my job, but
Absolutely.
I honestly, in the way of the world today,
We are not going to say,
know what I mean?
Karen called us and said, you are doing something wrong. No, we wouldn't do that.
honestly, it's kind of, people are scary these days.
Yeah, you don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would be afraid that he would do, and that's why we're just so closed mouth, is he might try to fix things. I know
Yes.
that. And that's why I wouldn't want him to even get a notion that somebody's looking at him.
And I know the telestaff program, like documents anytime you go in there.
Just going to ask.
Yes.
I would assume there's an audit trail of some sort.
Yes. If you went in there today and said on December 2nd, 2019, I was here, it's going to show that today you marked that on that date. So there's a paper trail in that sense.
And that's something else, too, that we can, sometimes we work directly with the software companies, too. If the staff may not, which I never realized, that there are sometimes that the actual customer of a specific software, depending on what it is, may not actually have access to all the features and functions. Sometimes it's the audit trail, sometimes it's stuff. So we sometimes can go to them and say, can you give me a report of all the adjustments that were made to this account or voids that were made? So if we ever need that, we can contact them directly. And I'm trying to think.
And my thing, too, is with the COVID and Zooms and meetings at home or working at home. Again, if you are working from home, and you know that your captain put in for higher position pay, why would he allow it? Like, he's the one that ultimately approved it to go to the next level.
Yeah, I would expect there to be a leave request from him.
Right.
Or some kind of something that...
Right. I mean, say you were just not in the office today and the captain thinks, well, he's not here, I'm going to do something. Well, there should have been some type of communication somewhere, whether it's in the telestaff saying I'm here, or no, I was working and therefore you're not entitled to the higher position pay. There should have been some type of communication in the software or between each other in emails to say, I'm not here, you need to work for me, or I am here, don't work for me.
And you're not aware if there is such a thing or what kind of supporting documentation they might keep there, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we have the antiquated paper timesheets in the entire city.
Okay.
So,
Outside of this?
yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. That was my question, right? And about the audit trail, so we got with that. No, I think that's, for me right now, I can't think of anything else, like clarifications or questions I have about, or maybe records that we need from her. Can you think of anything else? For
The only thing I would say is, like, if we want to get these records for this telestaff, that would come from this Kelly. Okay, if you could just shoot me her name and title and address that way, because all that I have to put on the subpoena.
Okay.
I don't think we need it right now, but eventually, if we do need it, that way I can
Okay.
Yeah.
send it off to her.
Nope, I think I'm good for that one.
All right, you okay for number 3?
I am.
All right, tell me about this law department issue.
Okay, so this, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background
Perfect.
so you're aware
Sure.
of this situation. So originally, I became the auditor in 2016. We've had this same IPA company doing our...
Zupka?
Zupka, yes. And it was kind of our belief that during the audit processes each year, they would come in and they would do their thing, but they would also spend time with us and I believe with each of my auditors, deputy auditors, and ask them, is there anything you're aware of that's going on? Do you have any issues? Do you have any things of fraud? And we would relay the information that we knew about or what our concerns were. So it was our belief that those were getting looked into or discussed with the Auditor of State's office, and when they would come back with the audits and show certain things, there were issues. I mean, we had a clerk of court who was indicted here in the city of Lorraine because she was falsifying her employees' timesheets and giving them overtime and giving, marking them as regular hours when they were out. And she kind of did favorites she was doing that with, and the non-favorites.
Okay.
Well, the non-favorites told on her, went to the police department. She got indicted, and it's still pending, I believe. But so that was part of our original thing that we were like, okay, we need to tie this down. We need to get time clocks. We need to do all this stuff. So we were going along telling the audit team what was going on. But in our audits, we really didn't have the matters totally addressed to what we thought would have been the process. So we've gone along, try to do the things we need to do, try to put in internal controls. And then this year, we still have Zupka, but we have a whole new team of auditors, okay? So they were here the week after Easter, and they came in and they started asking for all the information, and they asked me, do you have any things that are going on? And I told them about the payroll issues. We have a lot of problems. I said some people think that basically they can do what they want. We need to have the information given to us. We have people fighting us when we ask for information. And so they were like, okay, well, they got the information that we were working on. They were doing the testing for payroll. So obviously they picked their random people, and there were, I believe, 2 people that were members of the law department staff. And so they asked for the whole trail of, timesheets, payroll entry to see the actual pay period for these people. Well, the law department did not provide them the timesheets for those people. So all they basically had to go by is what was entered into the system. And so our system is one that all the employees have the paper timesheets. They fill them out. They give them to the payroll clerk every pay. The payroll clerk enters the information in there. They're supposed to run a report, give it to the appointing authority, director, superintendent. They're supposed to look at it, verify that it's entered in there correctly according to the timesheets, approve it, and then it goes on to the next levels, and then ultimately gets to the payroll department here. So we don't see timesheets every pay. We only get what was entered and approved by the departments. We spot check things during the year to say, let's just see, give us this, whatever, which we get pushed back all the time. We don't want to give this. Why are you doing that? You don't have the right to ask. I'm of the belief the auditor can ask for anything, any time of day, any day of the week. But we have been told you're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to audit once a year. I have emails to show that. But
Who gives you that direction?
that was given to me by the mayor.
Brett?
Yes, because I had asked for some information from the department. Like, my belief is you shouldn't have to go to the safety service director or whatever to ask these questions. I should be able to go to the department head and say, show me your timesheet for this guy.
Well,
No,
Karen.
they don't answer. They don't answer. Well, then I go to the next level. They don't answer me. So then I sent them the information of what the auditor's responsibilities were, and I have an email back from the mayor that says, this says you're allowed, the one Ohio Revised Code section says you're allowed to do it once a year.
Well, I consider this. Joe Blow, who lives in Ward 5, can send you a public records request or send them a public records request, and they have to produce it. Why would the auditor?
But I don't know why they wouldn't want it. But to me, when you're asking a question and people are getting angry with you or not answering the question, what's your first thought?
Way high.
Right. So, and that's what I've gotten in several instances, is anger and things. So this is just a little preliminary information for you. So during their testing, they gave me, they didn't get the timesheets from the two people in the law department. Then then they asked for like the entire law department's timesheets for like different periods, because they wanted to see, well, maybe this was just a freak thing that the timesheet was lost. So they asked for several of the employees, and it might have been all of them, and they only gave them a couple. There have been instances where we hear that the lawyers feel that they are salaried employees because they're lawyers. No offense to lawyers, but we've said that before. I mean, we've heard them say, "Well, we're salaried," and our ordinances for them are covered under the non-bargaining ordinances, which are hourly people. And basically, in the city of Lorraine, the only salaried people that are truly salaried are elected officials, because they get their annual salary no matter what. Everybody else is truly hourly employees.
You said they're covered by which ordinance?
It's a non-bargaining ordinance.
Would there be maybe a couple of them on the manager's ordinance too, maybe in that
No.
department? So their law department is strictly non-bargaining ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. I'm salary. I fill out a timesheet every week.
Yeah. So then the auditor of state, or the gentleman from Zupplica came back in my office again, and we had another conversation. And he was like, we were like, well, we don't understand, because we've told these problems that we've experienced over the years, and we don't quite understand why it's not addressed in the audit process, or why you guys haven't, helped us or given us a little bit more of a direction to say, or enforcement, I guess we want to say, So he basically said, hey, we're IPA people, we cannot do this. And I kind of had a sense of feeling with them that, they want to get hired anywhere in the state. So if they are known as nasty people, then people probably don't want to hire them. So I kind of always thought maybe that they just kind of want to not go down that path. And I didn't know this. Like, I was under the impression they're doing the audit for you guys, so they would be able to do basically everything that the auditor of state would want to enforce. But this was the first year in our meeting that he specifically said, and this was a new gentleman working for us, he specifically said, we can't do that. You need to deal directly with the state auditor's office.
And when he said we can't do that, is he referring to we can't address concerns that you've brought to us, or we can't address payroll discrepancies and lack of information that we find?
No, I think he was more or less saying we can't address you fixing it or enforcing it, more or less. Like, is what I got out of it. And he was basically like, it's on you, the auditor, basically, that if this is wrong, it's on you. So you need to talk to the auditor's office yourself. And he goes, I recommend you contact them. There's a fraud line. He told me that would be the best way to do it. So they ask for these payroll records for the law department. They don't have them. They still have not provided them.
Zupka did ask for,
Yes.
again, still haven't?
Yes. So, in my head, after hearing what this auditor told me, you need to talk to someone before it looks like you are doing something wrong. I thought, because this is going to be addressed more than likely in our audit this year, that it appears, based on what happened during this audit cycle, where they were asking for records and they are getting paid a 40-hour work week when... So this, let me back it up. The audit, or the law department, has a couple of part-time employees. They are indicated in the ordinance, you are a part-time worker. You get this kind of benefits, and you basically work less than 40 hours a week. It doesn't say how many hours you work, and maybe that's the flaw in our ordinance, because they are part-time, but they always get 40 hours a week, is what is being entered in the computer, that they are paid 40 hours a week. The only thing that concerns me, and this is why I brought it to your attention, is in a conversation that I had with someone in the law department a couple months ago, because we were having a question about an ordinance and the benefits a part-time employee gets. One of the members said to me, well, how do you do it for Joe and Joe? They're part-time. I said, no, they're not, because in the ordinance, they are filling a position called assistant law director, and that is a full-time position. Like, the ordinance lists all these different positions, and I don't, like, this is just something that is similar to it, so it just shows like a department. Mm-hmm. I didn't bring the law department, but it shows all the names of the positions. But in the law department...
Covered by this section, here's all the positions that are governed by this.
Right.
That's okay.
So there's actually like 2 dedicated part-time employees that are part-time, and then the rest of the people are considered full-time. But when the person said to me, well, they're part-time, how do you do it for them? How much vacation are they getting? It kind of raised a little flag in my head, because he's telling me that they're part-time, but yet they're in a full-time position. So I'm like, no, they're full-time. And so now that this is all like piecing together in my brain, that this was a conversation that I had, and then a couple weeks later the auditor comes in and says, where's your timesheets? And we don't have any, but yet you're getting 40 hours. Everybody's getting 40 hours. It just is a little concerning to me.
And you said Joe and Joe.
Yes.
What are their names, and what do they do?
Joe Levesque, Lavec, and then Joe Pritchard, Pritchard.
And what are they working at?
They are assistant law directors.
Which would be, is in the ordinance as a full-time position?
Yes.
That non-bargaining unit ordinance?
Yes.
They have private practices, don't they?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
And I already asked you for that, right?
What?
The law, that ordinance that would list, like, basically all the wage ordinances is what we'll want.
Okay.
Now, if there is to be some sort of exception to that, so for example, you mentioned we need an assistant law director position. We know Joe Smith has a law practice. He can only work for us for 20 hours a week, but we feel that we still want to do that. So we know the ordinance shows that this position is full-time, but we want to agree to hire him as part-time. I would expect that to go through council.
Yes.
Is that your understanding as well? It would
Yes.
have to get approved, and we would see something.
Yes.
Or maybe, now, does your office hold the personnel files for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Have you looked to see for these two individuals if they have any kind of exception in there regarding their?
I don't believe they do. Generally, I see the letters that come through,
Okay.
but I don't believe it specifically says you're not going to work on Friday, but you're going to get paid for 5 days a week. It doesn't say a limited amount of hours or. And I know in the non-bargaining ordinance, it does say something about the appointing authority can set a schedule. And it's like kind of in the overtime area where, if my employees, say they had a child and they have to take them to school or something. And it says in the contract or in our ordinance that they work 8:30 to 4:30. So if my employee has a son that they need to take to school or whatever, and I make the arrangement with them to work 9 to 5,
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. And if that's what I kind of interpret that to
Yeah.
mean, but I don't believe that it should mean I can say you can work at home and mark it down that you were at work. Like their timesheets that I've seen show the 5 days, and
It certainly, I would assume, doesn't mean you're working part-time getting paid full-time.
right.
Or vice versa.
Right.
Okay.
I don't believe that's what
The
it
lawyers
means.
that you mentioned, I believe, are in the civil division of the solicitor's office. They're not prosecutors.
No.
I believe the prosecutors are there a full
Yes,
week.
they're full time, and they are there Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, both
Now,
of them.
Do you think that these assistant law directors are going to claim that, well, we go to meetings at night, committee meetings, council meetings?
Well, they could claim that, and that is fine. But in my book, as the auditor, I would think, and this is the conversation we have it. We've had meetings with all the payroll clerks, whatever. I don't have an issue with that. Like, mark it down. You were here 8 to 10, and then you came back 4 to 6, and
Yeah, you have to
anytime you
justify.
cover your ear, it's better, and you
they
have
do.
proof.
So
They have to provide support to you.
They do timesheets,
Oh,
but
okay.
now
The problem is they can't get them.
They
won't
didn't
give
provide
them
them to the audit team, and that's what raised the red flag in my head. Because if you don't have a timesheet, then how do you know what they worked?
I agree. Yeah.
So, for the Joe and Joe, they are the ones where their position is full-time. The comment maybe made you think that maybe they were working part-time. Can you tell since you don't have the timesheets, but can you tell based on payroll if they're getting paid a full rate? Like, are they getting paid 40 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
That's pretty hard to square with a private practice, unless you're doing a lot of night work.
And you're not 100% sure what hours they're actually working. So maybe they are
Right.
working 40 hours, maybe they're part-time. The comment made you think it was part-time. You're
Yes.
just not sure. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So those are not the two dedicated employees that are part-time employees either, right?
Right.
So now there are two other employees in the law department that are dedicated part-time positions.
Yes.
And what is that position title?
I think it's just called Assistant Law Director Part-Time.
In fact, Joe Levesque is the prosecutor for, I believe, Wellington.
Is he?
Yeah.
Do you know the names of those people? Okay.
Ken Resar, Resar, and Don Zaleski, Zaleski.
I had a very good friend, Dan Zaleski.
Oh, really?
So I knew how to spell that name.
Oh.
All right, so we've got two positions that we know are designated as part-time positions, and what was the concern with them?
Those, I believe we did receive one of the timesheets in the audit process, in the testing.
Were these the two people pulled for testing?
Joe Pritchard was pulled for testing.
Okay.
And I don't recall the other one, but then when they asked for
expanded one,
everybody,
okay.
yes, the expanded one we did receive one for Ken Resar, and it showed that he marked down like 29 hours that he worked, but yet what was entered in the computer was 40. So,
And they're working in a part-time position.
yes.
He definitely is, I know that.
Yes. And I know he's like, Johnny, same thing. He's not, a lot of times he comes here to court or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know he's not working full time, but I don't know whether they're misinterpreting the ordinance to say you make 50,000. It doesn't specifically say in the ordinance you make 50,000 regardless of how many hours you work. It just says you're part time.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a flaw in the ordinance with part time, but if you're marking down on your timesheet that you worked here and here and here and here, then to me, if you're an hourly employee, you should be getting 29 hours of pay at that rate.
There is going to be several things we're going to need for this. Some of them you can get me. Some of them we have to get from there. I will get you a list when we're
Okay.
done.
Okay.
I will give you that when we're done. I'll give it to you today, but I don't need to give it to you right now. So these people, there's the concern that perhaps they're getting paid for more hours. Now, there would be a benefit. Are they getting city benefits? Are they, and I'm assuming the ordinance is going to say, like the breakout of part-time employees are allowed such and such,
Yes.
how that's working? Is that going to be in that ordinance
Yes.
probably? And their time accruals.
Yes.
So if they are turning in your system, so unlike the police department system, everybody else is doing the manual timesheets. Your payroll system is doing the leave accruals and stuff. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if somebody is putting in on their timesheets that are getting entered into your payroll system as working 40 hours, will your payroll system go based on the number of hours or the type of like employee that you're establishing them as? So like I'm sitting at Greg Smith for a new position. He is an assistant law director. He is a full-time position. So when I enter him as a full-time position, does it know to do his leave accruals and benefits based on the full-time position designation or based on the hours that they're submitting?
Our system is set up to have a benefits group. And
Okay,
the benefit
so you
group-
assign the benefit group
Yes.
for the type of position they have.
Yes. So the full-time employees have a certain benefit group that automatically assumes that you're working 40 hours. And then, like, there's some instances throughout the course of a year where someone may have gotten docked or been on administrative leave or been on a leave of absence where my payroll clerk has to go back and manually adjust their accruals because they shouldn't have earned the full amount.
Sure.
The part-time employees in the law director's office have a benefit group that only gives them what they're entitled to. So they would, they're only going to get, theirs is kind of weird, the two part-time. They don't get really anything. I don't think they get vacation. They might get half sick time. That's all they get. So they are only earning or accruing amounts based on the part-time. But the two full-time employees definitely are earning full-time accrued benefits. And if they're not working one day a week or whatever amount of days a week, then they're getting the benefits based on full-time.
And is that the same thing for like leave accruals and stuff? Based on whatever that benefit category you're establishing for them, it's going to know how much vacation time accrues for them based on that.
Yes.
So I have written down here, so for the part-time positions, Ken and Don, but really it's not a concern that they're getting extra benefits and leave accruals because your office has properly identified them as part-time.
Yes.
It might be an issue for the full-time benefit people that may be working part-time.
Yes.
Okay.
And the audit, the gentleman from Zupka's, when he talked to us about this, he asked for the ordinance. I gave him the ordinance. He's like, these people are not salary. Because we told them, they always say they're salary, but we don't interpret them to be salaried. And even if you are, like you say, you could have a timesheet. And whatever it is, people in Lorain, Ohio just think that is the worst thing in the world to have to fill out a timesheet, and again, when you're in the finance department right away, what do you think? If you don't want to fill out a timesheet, I'll fill out a timesheet. I'll show you every day I'm at work. I don't have a problem with it. But when you're trying to hide something, that's when you don't want anybody to see it. But
Do your, like, for example, our office, we can't earn overtime, but we can earn comp time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if any of these positions have, like, any kind of overtime or comp time?
well,
Would it be in the ordinance, do you think, if it says it? Or is there a
they
separate
do.
one?
No, they would get overtime or comp time either. It's like at the discretion of the appointing authority.
And is their
that-
law director elected?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a conversation with the full-time prosecuting attorney not too long ago. She happened to be in our office, and we were talking about something. I don't know. We got to talking, and I was like, "Well, I know you have to come to work sometimes if they issue a warrant, or if they have to do something specific over, on the weekend where she needs to sign a complaint or wait for the judge to issue a warrant or something. They have to come in, as do the members of the judge's office and a secretary in the prosecutor's office. So generally, if there's some kind of weirdness over the weekend time, the three of them would come in, and I know for a fact the secretaries in the judge's office and the secretary in the prosecutor's office would get overtime or comp time for those hours. So I said to her, I go, don't you get comp time when you come in on the weekends? And she said, no, I'm salaried. I'm like, no, you're not. And I try to tell people to get you're deserving of these hours. This ordinance says you work this hour to this hour every day. Anything over this period, you're entitled to overtime. So I'm like, you should be getting extra time if you come in. I mean, and really, from my standpoint, I also look at it from the point of, if you're not keeping track of what time you are here working extra and getting paid, then what if you fell down and had a workers' comp claim? Or what if what if the fire department had to come in the building and we didn't know you were there? Or, there's so many things when you work in this area that you have to account for that I look at where people don't think it's an issue. But if you're working in the city building or you're working extra, you should be documenting it somewhere. And I am all for fairness. If the secretary is getting overtime for coming in to serve a warrant on somebody and the prosecutor isn't, that doesn't make sense. You're in the same ordinance.
Exactly. If they're in a separate ordinance, that makes sense.
I agree. But I kind of felt bad because I said, you're missing out because you're entitled to overtime. And no, I'm salaried. I don't think so, but that's your loss. You can only lead a horse to water, but...
Has the audit team from Zupka, have they indicated if they're going to issue findings, or are they still doing their testing?
They're still doing it.
Okay. Are you aware of any? So based on this, you're not aware that Zupka found any issues as far as asking for timesheet stuff from other offices outside of the law department, are you? Or was the main issues the law department is who was not providing the information?
Yes. All the other testing we had, basically what they did was they picked their random list of people. They gave it to us. We asked the departments to give us what they needed. And then once they got that, they went to the departments and asked for any other specific thing they had. That was the only department we did not get what they asked for. So when they came to do on-site testing, we said, okay, here's all the timesheets that you asked for, and we don't have these. So then they said, well, where are they? We don't have them. I said, so then they came and said, we don't have them. So I said, well, what do you do in that case? Well, we know in our mind this was random, that we asked for these, and they're not giving them. So then in order to further look into their procedures, we ask for more to see. So they asked for more, and I thought they asked for maybe 8, and I think they maybe received 3. Or it was a very small amount of what they asked for and what they received.
Do you know, based on your recollection of the sample selection for the payroll testing, do you think it was representative of at least somebody in every department? Do you know? Or do you know if there were some departments that weren't sampled?
It was weird because we even made the comment, there were no 6621 employees, which are like the labor pool of employees. There was nobody pulled from that, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, I know there was a fireman, I know there was a couple policemen, I was on there, they had me pulled.
Mayor's office, anybody in there?
Yeah, they had the mayor himself, which again, that is basically just all you can really show them is your ordinance that says this is what you
Yeah.
get. And so,
Because that's not
Yeah.
dependent upon hours,
Right.
right? The labor one is under a union though, and they're hourly and
Yes.
right, they're,
yes.
Okay. My concern would be more of just like another like law department where they think maybe they don't have to do that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Anything else in regards to that complaint that I missed? Or I really, I might talk to the Zupka people. Do you know the name of your audit manager that you're dealing with from Zupka?
Christina, I think it's BUSSE. I don't have it. I'm pretty sure. Like
That's
I said,
okay, we can
she's
get a
new.
hold
The
of
other
them,
one
too.
is Joseph Michael, and I don't know, or Michael Joseph. I know there was two. Michael Joseph Michael. No, Michael Joseph. I don't know what his last name is, just because they were only there for a few days right after Easter, and we haven't really dealt with them anymore in person. So
Yeah.
I have their cards.
If you could maybe just shoot me over their information, because I might reach out to them to see if they've got anything and maybe just pick their brain on what they're
Okay.
seeing. You got anything for that one? I think I'm good with that one.
Okay. Is everybody okay if I turn off? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.